vertex. So we are saying angles are formed when two lines meet. So when you consider the diagram over here, we can see a line from this point to this point, and another line from this point also joining this line. And we are saying that angles are formed when two lines meet. And so when these two lines, this line and the next line, when they meet here, the point at which they are meeting is called the vertex. And over there, the vertex, at the vertex there, we should expect that an angle will be formed here. This angle will be formed and another angle will be formed, because we are saying angles are formed when two lines meet. And so this line and then this line meeting will form an angle over here and then here as well. And so in this particular video, we are going to consider angles that will be relevant to this video. We are only going to focus on angles that will help us deal with the content in the video. In fact, there are a lot of angles there, but we are going to consider a few over here. Now we are starting with acute angle. And we are saying an acute angle is an angle whose measure is less than 90 degrees. Now let's consider this plane. When we have this XY plane here, from this line and then this line, they form an angle of 90 degrees over here. And so we put this sign over here. This sign means that the angle here is what? 90 degrees. And we are saying that an acute angle is an angle whose measure is less than 90 degrees. So if an acute angle has a measure less than 90 degrees, it means that the angle can fall within this section, anywhere in this section. So the angle can be from here, the angle can be from here, or the angle from this angle, they are all what? Acute angle. All because the measure here is not up to what? 90 degrees, or the measure here is less than 90 degrees. Now let's move on to the second one, which is right angle. And we are saying that a right angle is an angle whose measure is equal to 90 degrees over here, like you are seeing in angle DOC. This is what? A right angle triangle, an angle whose measure is exactly 90 degrees, and such angle is called a right angle. Now from here, we are saying angle COD is a right angle. Yes, we can see over here. Therefore, angle COD is equal to 90 degrees. Now, one thing about angles is that when you want to mention a particular angle, let's say we want to mention angle O, this particular angle, what we will do is that we are going to combine three angles. Now, the available angles we are having here is D, C, and then O. So we are going to combine these particular angles to be able to mention or call the particular angles we want. But here is a trick. Look at what is over here. We want to call angle O. And so combining the three angles, we will put angle O in the middle to form COD. COD. So this means that you are referring to the angle here, or the middle angle, which is what? O. You can also do it COD. It is not a crime. The most important thing here is that you put the angle you want to mention in the middle. Now let's continue. Let's move to an obtuse angle. We are saying an obtuse angle is an angle whose measure is greater than 90 degrees but less than 180 degrees. An angle whose measure is greater than 90 degrees. So now we are out of this quadrant or this section. We are here. The measure is what? Greater than 90 degrees. So we have moved from here to this side. And we are saying it is what? Less than 180. It is greater than 90 but less than 180. So this angle can also be here. Now, when it is here, we are referring to the angle here. The angle can also be here. So any angle inside of this quadrant together with the first one means we have an obtuse angle. So from the diagram you are seeing here, this diagram is showing an obtuse angle here. As you can see over here, the line here is way above 90 degrees, but it is less than what? 180 degrees. And so angle EOF, which means we are referring to the middle angle, is an obtuse angle. And angle EOF is greater than 90 degrees and less than 180 degrees. Now let's move on to straight angle. We are saying that a straight angle has a measure equal to 180 degrees. So if you draw the XY plane here, we can see that if this section is 90, this side will also give us 90. So from here to here will give us what? 180. And this diagram is showing what? A straight angle. As you can see over here, this line is what we are seeing here. And then the angle formed here is what? This one plus this one, forming a 180 degrees here. And so any angle of this form or any angle that depicts this nature is called a straight angle. And so from here we can say angle POQ is a straight angle. POQ means you are referring to the middle angle here. And therefore angle POQ is what? 180 degrees. From this side to this side will give us a 180 degrees. Now let's move on to our last type. Like I told you earlier on, there are more. We have a lot of angles over there, but in this video we are considering the most important ones, the one that will help us deal with the content in this video. That is what we are focusing on for now. So number 5 is what? Reflex angle. And we are saying that an angle with a measure greater than 180 degrees but less than 360 degrees is called a reflex angle. An angle with a measure greater than 180 degrees, that means we are out of this section, so we are here, but less than what? 360. So it can be here. Reflex angle can be here. From this angle to this angle will form a reflex angle. And we are saying that this measure is less than what? 360. And so the diagram you are seeing over here is a reflex angle. As you can see, we are having two lines meeting at this place. And so the angle formed here, this angle is what we refer to as a reflex angle. From here to here is what? Greater than 180 but less than 360. So we are saying that angle LOM, is what? It's a reflex angle, and therefore angle LOM is greater than 180, like from definition, and less than 360. So from definition we know that a reflex angle is an angle whose measure is what? Greater than 180 but less than 360. Now let's move on to a different thing. So over here we have pair of angles, and the first on our list is complementary angles. And what are these complementary angles? We are saying that complementary angles, they are any two angles that sum up to 90. So we are saying that any two angles that when we add them you get 90 degrees. So when you look at the diagram over here, this is a right angle. And over here, we have divided the angle into two, A and then B. And we are saying that with these two angles, when we add them, A plus B, it should be able to give you 90 degrees. Now, for example, in the diagram below, the diagram you are seeing over here, we have AOB. So when I say AOB, angle AOB here is what? 90 degrees. I'm referring to this big angle over here. If you want to call a specific angle, let's say angle 30, the angle is here, and so I'll call angle COB. Angle COB. This means that I'm mentioning angle what? 30 degrees. And when I say angle AOC, then I'm mentioning what? Angle 60 degrees. So you should be able to know the difference. When you want to call the whole of this angle, you use angle AOB. This will mean that you are referring to this big angle over here. And over here with angle AOB, we can realize that angle AOB is divided into two. Angle AOC and then angle COB. And what if you look at the angles carefully, the two angles, when you add them up, 60 plus 30 is giving us what? 90 degrees. And so from here, we can say that 60 degrees and 30 degrees are complementary angles, because when you add the two, you are getting what? 90 degrees. Now let's move on to the second one, that is supplementary angles. And we are saying that supplementary angles, they are any two angles that sum up to 180. So over here, we can see a straight angle over here. And we have angle C and D on this straight line. And we are saying that when you add these two angles, it should give you what? 180. That is by definition. Supplementary angles are any two angles that sum up to 180. So if you consider these two angles, C plus D should be equal to 180. That is from definition. Now let's come down here. For example, in the diagram, we have this diagram showing here angle AOB. Angle AOB, which means I'm mentioning the whole of this angle. Now on this straight line or this straight angle you are seeing here, we can see that the angle is divided into two, 40 and then 140. And if you look at the two angles carefully, when you add the two angles, we are getting what? 180. And so from definition, we are going to say that angle 40 and then angle 140 are what? Supplementary angles. Because when we add 40 to 140, we are going to get what? 180 degrees. So this is all about supplementary angles and then complementary angles so far. Now let's move on to our last pair of angles, which is vertically opposite angle. And we are saying that when two lines cross each other, vertically opposite angles are formed. When two lines cross each other, vertically opposite angles are formed. And we are saying that vertically opposite angles are equal. Now kindly take note of what I have underlined over here. Vertically opposite angles are equal. This is a very important statement and we are going to use it throughout. And so take note of it. Now consider the diagram below here. We can see a line crossing another line. And when we see anything like that, or when we see something like this, we should expect that a vertically opposite angle is formed here. And we are saying that vertically opposite angles are equal. And so this angle here, F, is equal to this angle here, F. And then the angle here, which is angle E, is the same as the angle here, angle what? E. And so I'm saying angle E is equal to angle E, and then angle F is equal to angle F. That is for vertically opposite angles. The angle at the top here is equal to the angle at the down here, and then the angle over here is the same as the angle over here. So knowing all this, I have an example for you. The sizes of two angles are 100 plus x and 3x plus 50. Calculate x if these two angles are supplementary. Now we are talking about supplementary angles here. And when you come here, we said supplementary angles, they are any two angles that sum up to 180. And in this example, we have been given two angles, which is angle 100 plus x and angle 3x plus 5. And we are saying that supplementary angles are any two angles that sum up to what? 180. That means that when we add this angle plus this angle, it should be equal to 180. And so quickly, let's do that. So we have the first angle, which is 100 plus x plus 3x plus 50 is equal to 180. And then from here, we solve for the value of x. So now let us expand the brackets. And so we are going to have 100 plus x plus, then over here we have 3x plus 50 is equal to 180. Now what you are seeing here is our last step. I have pasted the last step here. And so from here we can simplify from the left hand side. Now 100 plus 50 will give us 150 plus x plus 3x is what? 4x. And this will be equal to 180. Now from here we group like terms. We are going to maintain the variables at one side and then the numbers at one side of the equation. And so let's have 4x to be equal to 180 minus 150. Now from here we are going to have 4x to be equal to 180 minus 150 will give us 30. And so x will be equal to 30 over 4, of which x will be equal to 7.5. So over here I have some try works for you. This one we are going to do it together. When the video is about to end, I'll give you some for you to do it. When you are done, you let me know your answer in the comment section. And so let's start with the first one. If 7x plus 45 and 15 minus x are supplementary, we have to find x. And so we know that for supplementary angles, when we add the two angles, it should be equal to 180. And so quickly we add the two angles. And so we are going to have 7x plus 45 in brackets plus what? 15 minus x, and this will give us 180 degrees. Now from here, let's expand the bracket to get 7x plus 45 plus 15 minus x is equal to 180 degrees. And so over here we can simplify. 7x minus x will give us 6x plus, and then 45 plus 15 will give us 60, and this will be equal to 180 degrees. Now over here we group like terms, and so we are going to have 6x to be equal to 180 degrees minus 60 degrees. And from here we are going to have 6x to be equal to 120 degrees. And so to get x, we are going to divide through by 6, divide through by 6. Now 6 will cancel 6, and x will be equal to 120 degrees over 6 is going to give us 20 degrees. And so this is the value of x we were asked to find. Now let's move on to the second one. If 2x plus 2 and 40 are complementary angles, we have to find x. So let's go back to complementary angles. So from complementary angles, we said that they are any two angles that sum up to 90 degrees. And so when we add the two angles, it should be equal to 90 degrees. And from the question here, we are given these two angles, angle 2x plus 2 and then angle 40. And by definition, we said complementary angles, they are any two angles that sum up to 90. Which means that when we add these two angles, we should get 90 degrees. And so by definition, we are going to have 2x plus 2 plus angle 40 is equal to 90 degrees. And so over here, we can simplify the left hand side to get 2x plus 2 plus 40 will give us 42, and this will be equal to 90 degrees. And now from here, we are going to have 2x to be equal to 90 minus 42. So let me clean this side. And from here, we are going to have 2x to be equal to 90 minus 42 gives 48. And so to get x over here, we divide through by 2, we divide through by 2. And 2 will cancel 2, and x will be equal to 24. And so this is the value of x that we were asked to find. So from here, let's proceed. Now we are moving on to properties of angles. We are saying angles formed on a straight line sum up to 180. This is an important property and should take note of it. This particular property is going to guide us throughout our lessons, and so you should take note of this property as well. Consider the figure below. So we have an angle formed on a straight line. This is a straight line here, and these are angles formed on the straight line. And we are saying that angles formed on a straight line add up to 180. So when we add x plus y plus z, it should be equal to 180 degrees. Now let's consider these examples here. Find the value of x in the diagrams below. So let's start with A. Now with the A, we are seeing that we have a straight line here and then some angles on it. And so this forms angles on a straight line. And we are saying that angles on a straight line sum up to 180. And so when we add 20 plus x plus 45, it should be equal to 180. So let's do that. And so we are going to have 20 plus x plus 45 is equal to 180 degrees. Now over here, 20 plus 45 will give us 65. Plus x is equal to 180 degrees. And so when we make x the subject, we are going to have x to be equal to 180 minus 65. And x will be equal to 115 degrees. Now knowing this one, you should be able to solve B and C. So what I want you to do here is to pause the video and try your hands on B and then C. Okay, that is fine. I believe you have been able to solve B and then C. So let's do it together. Now with B, again, we can see that we have what? A straight line here and then some angles on a straight line. And so simply we go back to this property. Angles formed on a straight line sum up to 180. And so we add all the angles, 4x plus x plus x is equal to 180. And so 4x plus x plus s will give us what? 6x is equal to 180 degrees. Now from here we divide through by 6, 2 by 6. And so 6 here will cancel 6 and x will be equal to 30 degrees. Now let's move on to the last one, which is the C. And see here again we have a straight line here and then some angles on it. So to get the value of x, we add the 2 and then we equate to 180. And so C, we are going to have x minus 20 plus x is equal to 180 degrees. Now from here, x plus s will give us 2x. Then we have minus 20 is equal to 180 degrees. Now let's move negative 20 to the right hand side. So we are going to have 2x is equal to 180 degrees plus 20 degrees. And so we are going to have 2x to be equal to 200 degrees. Now from here we divide through by 2, we divide through by 2, and x will be equal to 100 degrees. So that is all for A, B, and then C. Now let's move on to angles around a point. When many lines meet at a point, they form angles around the point. The sum of all the angles formed is equal to 360. We are saying that when many lines meet at a point, so look at this line from here to here, from this line here to here, from this point here to here, they all meet at this point. And we are saying that when many lines meet at a point, they form angles around the point. And so this is the point. So an angle will be formed here, an angle will be formed here, and also an angle will be formed here. So in all, we are having 3 angles, angle A, B, and C. And we are saying that the sum of all the angles formed is equal to 360 degrees. So the sum of all the angles formed here is equal to 360 degrees. And so we have A plus B plus C is equal to 360 degrees. Now let's consider this example here. We have to find the angles marked with letters. Now let's start with the A. So from the diagram here, we can see a line from this side meeting at this point, another line from this side meeting at this point, and also this line also meeting at the same point. And we can see some angles around it. So over here, this forms what? Angles around a point. And we are saying that angles around a point add up to 360. So let's do that. And so we are going to add this angle plus this angle plus this angle is equal to 360. And so we have x plus 137 plus, and then this angle is 90 degrees. So plus 90 degrees is equal to 360 degrees. Now we are going to have x plus 137 plus 90 will give us 227, and this is equal to 360 degrees. And so making x the subject, we are going to have x to be equal to 360 minus 227. Now from here, x will be equal to 360 minus 227 will give us 133 degrees. And so yes, that is the value of x in A. So let's move on to B. Now B here, again, we have angles around the point. So we add all the angles there. We have x minus 10 plus, and then here we have x plus 40. And then we have plus x is equal to 360 degrees. Now over here, x plus s will give us 3x. And then negative 10 plus 40 will give us positive 30. And so this will give us 360 degrees. Now from here, let's move positive 30 to the right hand side so that we have 3x to stand alone. And so 3x will be equal to 360 minus 30. And 3x will be equal to 330 degrees. So from here, we divide through by 3, divide through by 3. 3 will cancel 3, and x will be equal to 110 degrees. So this will end our lesson for today. In our next lesson, we will consider properties of parallel lines. We will also consider properties of triangles and then the rest. So if you find the video interesting, kindly subscribe, you comment, and then you share the video as well. See you in our next video. Bye bye for now.